Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to make a granny square. For this project, you'll just need a little crochet hook, some scissors, and a little yarn needle. And today I am using just medium weight yarn, size 4 yarn, and I'm using a 5mm crochet hook. So let's get started. So first we're going to start by making a slip knot. To do that, actually, let's start with this color here. So this is the tiniest ball of yarn, and this is why I really love granny squares. You can use up all of your tiny little scraps like this. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to make a little slip knot, and I like to make that by curling my yarn around into a little pretzel. Just like that. Oh, come here, little pretzel. And then we're going to scoop up this little piece of yarn right here. Pull up, 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 and there is our slip knot. Now to start the little granny square, I'm going to chain 5. So to chain, we're just going to yarn over and pull through 1. Yarn over again, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 3, yarn over, there's 4, yarn over, there is 5 little chains. Now we're going to make a little loop, and to do that, we're going to insert our hook into the very first chain we made, and I like to go under 2 little loops. So you can see the chain has 3 little loops in it. It has this one here, one that goes down through the middle, and one over here. The one that goes down through the middle actually makes the back bump of the chain. See those little bumps back there? Little bumps. So if anybody ever says go through the back bump, that's what they're talking about. But for this, I'm going to make my loop. I'm going to insert my hook into under the first side of the chain and the back bump. Yep. Like that. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through those loops on my hook. And now I've got a ring here. Now we're going to start our little granny square. So the first double crochet is actually going to be a chain 3. So we're going to chain 3. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Now that counts as a double crochet. Now into this ring, we're going to do 2 more double crochets. Yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. There we go. Now we're going to do another double crochet in the ring. Yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. And now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. Now into my ring, I'm going to do 3 double crochets. So this first set counts as 3 double crochets. Now we're going to do 3 full real double crochets. Ready? Yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. And one more time, yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And now I'm going to repeat what I just did with the 3 double crochets and a chain 2. Ready? So here's 1 double crochet, here's 2 double crochet, here's 3 double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And now I'm going to do that one last time so that I have 4 sets of 3 double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, and 2 more times. And here we go, our last double crochet. Now we're going to chain 2 one last time, 1, 2, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 that we made in the beginning. So you can see there's our first chain, second chain, third chain is on the top. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, and draw through all those loops, and there's a little slip stitch. And now we are going to cut our yarn. We're going to draw our loop up just a little bit. And you can see from this tiny ball of yarn, we made the center of our granny square, and we still have all this yarn left. We could probably make another center of a granny square. That is why granny squares are so awesome. You can just use up all your little tiny scraps, make them all the fun, pretty colors and all of that. Okay, so I'm going to cut this yarn, but I'm going to cut it a little bit long because I want to be able to weave in my ends. I don't want my granny square to fall apart. So you have to have enough yarn to be able to weave it in. And we can weave in before we move on to the next row. That's always a really good idea. I like to just do it as I go. And then at the very end, you don't have all these ends to weave in. So I'm just gonna thread my needle here. Uh-oh, oh dear. Thread my little needle. Ooh, look how this needle matches my nail color. I didn't even plan that. Okay, so now to weave in your ends, you want to get the yarn so it's going under the bottoms of your double crochets. So we're going to weave it down through this little chain here to get it down to the bottom. Just weaving it down my starting chain. And you might have a different way of weaving in your ends, and that is okay, as long as you weave them in good enough so that they're not going to come undone. So I'm going to run it through the bottom of my double crochets. And then let's go through the bottom of these ones too. And then I'm actually going to bring it to the back and flip this over, okay? Because now I'm going to bring it through one more set of these bottoms of the double crochets, okay? So I'm still going in the same direction. All right, now, this is the important part. We're going to go back in the opposite direction, but I'm going to skip over this first stitch and go through the next 2. So I've kind of got a little hook right there, kind of hooks my yarn so it can't like run away too far. And then I'm going to go through the next set of stitches all the way through the bottom. And now I'm going to go back the other way, skipping the first stitch, but running it through the bottom of these ones. So that hooks it again so it can't go too far away, okay? Now I'm going to cut my yarn. Now I feel pretty safe and secure that I've hooked it in 2 different directions, and I don't think it's going to run away. Now this one is the beginning of my granny square, the very beginning yarn, and you can run that under as well if you like in the same way. And I actually crocheted over it as we were going too, so it's pretty woven in, or it's at least crocheted over, but let's bring it both directions so that it will not come loose either. So I'm going to bring it through this way. Let's bring it through the bottom of 2 sets. And then run it through this way. Bring it through another set. Oh, that's actually where my starting chain is. So let's bring it back through this way. There we go. And now we can cut that yarn too. And now this first row of granny squares is so secure. First row of our granny square, it is so secure, it is not gonna fall apart. All right, Now we're ready to move on to our next color. So, I think I'll go with pink. That's pretty. Okay, so to start the next row, I'm going to make a little slip knot again. Little pretzel. And grab that yarn right there. Pull up, up, up. And now I'm going to scoot this little slip knot off my hook, scoop up any of the little 2 chain spaces with my hook, put my slip knot back on, and draw it on through. Now I'm ready to make my first double crochet that is actually a chain 3. Are you ready? So it counts as a double crochet, but it's a chain 3. I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's going to count as our first double crochet. Now, once again, I'm going to hold on to the starting yarn like I did in the beginning and crochet over it as I go for this first set of double crochets here. So I'm going to do 2 double crochets in this same little space. 1 and a 2. And I'm going to scooch my little double crochets over so I have room, because I'm going to do 3 more in this same place. So I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and now I'm going to do 3 more double crochets in this little space. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet. And now I have a little corner in that corner, and I have crocheted over this beginning yarn here. And now I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm ready to move over to this next corner here. And in this next corner, I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and a 3. Now I'm going to chain 2 because I'm in a corner space. And now I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. There's a 1, there's a 2, and there's a 3. There we go. And now I'm going to do a chain 1. And now in the next space, I'm going to do the same thing. It's 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So I like to think of it like this. In each one of the sides, you're always going to put 1 chain, right? But in the corners, you're covering 2 sides, so you're always going to have 2 single crochets, 1 to get you on this side and 1 to get you on this side. And then when you're flat on a side, you only need 1 chain. Does that make sense? Okay, so our 3 double crochets. There's a 1. There's a 2. There's a 3. Now 2 chains, 1 to get us along this side, 1 to get us to the other side. I'm going to set my little ball of yarn there. Okay, now we're going to do 3 more double crochets to finish that corner and move us along around the corner onto the other side. Okay, now we're going to chain 1. And we're getting to the next corner. We're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and now 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going to slip stitch again into the top of our chain 3. So there it is. Slip stitch. Oh, there we go. And now once again, we could pull up that yarn a little bit because we're going to cut this loop, or not the loop, rather, we're going to cut the yarn. And now we're going to weave in our yarn again. So let's set this yarn over here. We're all done with it. Ooh, I like these colors. Oh, granny squares are so fun because they can be so colorful. Or not. You could make them all in one color. You can make them just in a whole blanket full of just 2 colors. Oh dear. But you can get as creative as you want. They're very fun. Whoa. And I think one of the most important parts of the granny square, because you're changing colors so often, really is weaving in your ends. Because if you're using multiple yarns and you keep changing, but you don't weave in your ends all the way, then your beautiful granny square project could very easily fall apart. So this is a very important part of granny square making if you're changing colors a lot. So I'm gonna bring it down again so that I'm along the bottom of these stitches again. So just kind of weave it down. Oh, and I have turned it over, but you could just as easily keep it this way, but I like to kind of make it so that my ends are on the back of my work, and so just flip it over at some point. All right, now we're going to be running along the bottom of these, and this time we have 6 whole double crochets that we're under, so we can probably just go under this one set, just like this. So I'm bringing it along the whole bottom. Now, I don't want to move over to this set over here, because if I did that, I would be bringing my pink yarn along the top of my green yarn, and I don't want to do that. Like, what's pretty about the granny square is how crisp the stripes are, you know? And as the stripes get bigger, as the granny square gets bigger, you don't want a different color of yarn running along another color of your square. It just won't look as crisp and pretty. Okay, so we've gone along the bottom of these 6. Now I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to skip this first double crochet and run it along. Run my yarn along the bottom of the remaining 5. Pull it all the way through. So I've kind of hooked my yarn over there. Now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to skip this one and run it all the way along the remaining 5. Just like this. And now I'm going to cut my yarn. And now, as the granny square pulls and moves, that little yarn is not going to be, it's not going to move. It's not going to come flying out of there. Now I'm going to do this one the same way, but I won't do it right now because let's move on to the next color. All right, what should I do next? Let's see, purple or yellow? Oh, I think I'll do purple. Okay. So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this row the same way. So we're going to make a little slip knot with a little pretzel. Oh, this pretzel looks crazy because my yarn's all wrinkly. Okay, now I'm going to scoop up this part of my pretzel. Now I've got a little slip knot. I'm going to pull it off of my hook, and then I'm going to scoop up my granny square with my hook in any corner space. Now I'm going to scoop up my slip knot. I'm going to pull it a little tighter and just pull it on through. Now, once again, I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to make our beginning corner stitch. So that is 2 double crochets. There's a 1 and a 2. Now I'm going to kind of scoot these over because I got to fit 3 more stitches in there. And once again, I'm crocheting over this to kind of cover it up and start to weave it in. Now I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. Oh dear, no I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2 to make that little corner. Now I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm moving along a side, so I'm going to chain 1 And in this one chain space right here, I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and a 3. And now to move along my side, I'm going to chain one more time. Now I'm going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, all in this little corner right here. So here's 1 double crochet. Here's 2 double crochets. There's 3 double crochets. Now I'm going to chain 2 to get me around that corner and do another 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now to get over to this next space on this side, I'm going to chain 1. Let's see if that ball of yarn will sit there in my yarn bowl. Now I'm going to do 3 double crochets in this chain 1 space. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Now I'm going to chain 1. Now in this corner, I'm going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So here's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. Now I'm going to chain 2 and then do 3 more double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Now we're going to chain 1 and do 3 double crochets in my chain 1 space, and chain 1 and do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So in the granny square, you will always do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in your corner. Always, always, always. And along your sides, you will always chain 1 and put 3 double crochets in each chain space. And that is no matter how big your granny square is. So when we start the next row, we're going to be doing 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1, and then we're going to be putting a group of 3 double crochets here, chain 1, a group of 3 double crochets here, chain 1, and that will go on and on and on forever, for as big as you want to make this granny square. So this little tiny baby granny square could turn into a ginormous blanket, or chain 1. We're going to slip stitch into the top of our beginning chain to finish this row. Or if you wanted to, you could just stop this little granny square here and be all done with it. You can make a whole bunch in this size and then sew them all together to make a big blanket. There are just so many things you can do with your granny squares. I am going to pull this through, and I will swiftly weave in this little end here so that I can move you on to the next row and show you how we're going to repeat every single little row just like that one. And also, since I'm weaving this back to where my beginning yarn is, I can actually weave these together. So come here, beginning yarn. Let's make them about the same lengths. So comment down below too and let me know what you plan on making with your granny squares. One of my very, very first things that I learned how to make when I was about 6 or 7 years old was a granny square. My grandma taught me how to make one. And so my very first project was a granny square blanket, because Grammy gave me all of her little balls of yarn. And so I made them into a great big blanket. And I don't have that blanket anymore, but I wish I did. But you know what? When I was that young, I didn't know how to weave in my ends, so that blanket probably was falling apart. I don't know. I actually gave it to my mom for Mother's Day or Christmas or something one year, but I very much don't think she still has it. Okay, so those are woven in. Now, let's get on to our next color. And this will be the last row that I show you guys, because I think that after this row, you will understand the fundamentals, and that is that you always put a corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in the corners. You chain 1 to get to the next chain 1 space, and you do 3 double crochets. And that is all. And once you know that, you are a master granny square maker, and you will just be able to just go and go and go and make it as big or as little as you want. So this next side starts the same way. We're going to make a slip knot by making a little buttery pretzel. And then scoop it into any corner you want. Pull up your little slip knot, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now the beginning corner is just as you saw before, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to chain 1 and do 3 double crochets in the next little space. And now we're going to chain 1 because there's another space here. And we're going to do 3 double crochets in this next little space. Now we're going to chain 1, and the next place we're going is into a corner. So for the corner, we're going to 3 double crochet, 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to chain 1, and our next space is a single little side space. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, and then we'll chain 1. Next we have a single little side space. We're going to do 3 double crochets, and we're going to chain 1. The next space is a corner, so we're going to 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet to get us around the corner. 1, 2, 3, 2 double crochet, or 2 chains, and 3 double crochets. Chain 1. Next space is a regular little space on the side, so we're just going to put 3 double crochets there. Now we're going to chain 1 and do 3 more double crochets. And then we're going to chain 1. Next is a corner, so we're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet, 2, 3, chain 1. Now we've got 2 more little spaces on this side. So in each one, we're going to put our 3 double crochets. Here's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to chain 1, and we're back to the beginning. We're going to slip stitch down into the very first top of that first chain. And there you go. So you guys can see that as your granny square gets bigger and bigger, you create more spaces along the side to put your little group of 3 double crochets. So like in the first little row, it was all corners, right? In the second row, you have a corner and one space, corner and one space. In the third row, you have a corner and then you created 2 spaces. And then in the fourth row, 1, 2, 3, yep, 4, we have corners and then we've created 1, 2, 3 spaces. So each time you create a new row, you're also going to add another little group of 3 clusters. Like here you have 1, here you have 2, the next one would have 3. So it just goes on and on and on and on, as big as you want to make your granny square. Or you could stop it right here, make a whole bunch in this size and make whatever you want. I've seen some really cute things with granny squares. People make sweaters and purses and blankets and so many things. It's so cute. So I hope you guys had fun learning how to make a granny square today. And yes, comment down below and tell me what you are going to make with your little granny square. And remember to weave your ends in really, really good so that they don't come apart. And yep, hit subscribe to my channel, y'all, because I'm going to post some more videos like how to sew your granny squares together and things like that. So I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, y'all.